Hello, I'm Fred and welcome back to Pickleball Guys. This video is for all pickleball players, from new beginners to experienced competitors. If you've ever visited our store or simply browsed online for pickleball paddles, then you've no doubt been overwhelmed with the selection that's available. When it comes to picking the right pickleball paddle, I want to help simplify some things and share some of my thoughts on the variety of things you may be considering. All right, let's get into it. Paddles that are approved for competitive play will bear the stamp of the USAPA, which has been the main governing body setting regulation standards based on things like surface roughness, coefficient of friction, surface reflection or gloss, compressibility, deflection, and the newly added coefficient of restitution, which measures the elasticity of the collision between the paddle and the ball. All of these regulations are there to ensure the integrity and nature of the sport is maintained. Shapes can vary quite a lot among paddles, affecting the location and size of the sweet spot, which, like all other racket sports, is the optimal place to make contact with the ball for the best possible power, accuracy, and control. The combined length and width of any paddle, including edge guards and butt caps, must not exceed 24 inches. The length of the paddle must also not exceed 17 inches. But even with these regulatory parameters, there's plenty of room to create some unique shapes. Wide body paddles have a large, forgiving sweet spots and they're very user-friendly. Elongated paddles have more reach and length on the surface, giving them a little more spin potential, and have compact sweet spots that provide increased power potential. These are a little less forgiving and generally better suited for advanced players with good hand-eye coordination. Standard shapes and hybrid shapes will offer more of a balanced middle ground in the performance and characteristics, and will generally be the most maneuverable. Weights can vary between 7 and 8.5 ounces. You can always customize your paddle to adjust the balance and weight distribution using lead tape strips. Placing the strips up near the top will obviously increase the head weight and give it a little bit more power, while placing the strips down near the throat of the paddle will shift that weight towards the handle. That can help make it a bit more maneuverable. You can customize it with any combination of those positions, as adding weight does increase power potential with your swing. That's something you can certainly play around with. At the moment, there are no restrictions on paddle thickness. A paddle's characteristics are often determined by the thickness of their cores. Thicker cores absorb more energy and are better for control, while thinner cores will return more energy and are better for power. Most paddle cores are comprised of polyurethane or polymer honeycomb, often incorporating some foam elements for vibration dampening, comfort, and impact protection. There are some other unique core materials being utilized. For example, Gearbox has their own patented carbon fiber cores, which offer increased durability and generally more power. They basically fold carbon fiber into ribs, and they can either increase the stiffness of these ribs for more power or decrease the stiffness for a softer control. Recently, we've seen the introduction of some foam cores, like Carbon's True Foam. Foam cores can be made with variations to its density for changes in its power versus control characteristics. So core thickness is not much of a guiding factor like it is for polymer honeycomb. When it comes to durability or the longevity of a paddle, there are a couple factors at play. First is, how often are you playing? Are you playing once per week, twice per week, or twice per day, 5 days a week? It goes without saying, the more you use your paddle, the more it will wear. Another important factor is, how do you take care of your paddle? Are you aggressive in your gameplay? Maybe scraping the ground a lot? Are you tapping paddle faces with your doubles partner in between every point, or high-fiving your paddle every time you make eye contact? Maybe just fist bump those celebrations when pumping each other up. But apart from avoiding unnecessary impacts to your paddle, there are some things you can do to help drastically extend your paddle's lifespan. Simple things like cleaning your paddle surface after a session using rubber paddle eraser, and making sure that you keep it protected in a bag rather than thoughtlessly tossing it into your car just to have it bounce around into other objects. Those simple practices can go a long way in preserving both the integrity of your paddle surface and its internal core. But let's say, hypothetically, you play twice per week for 2-hour sessions at a time. You're using a polymer honeycomb paddle with a thermoformed raw carbon surface, and you're capable of some decent power from your swing when you need it. Assuming you're taking good care of it, it should last you anywhere from 8 months to a year before you'll want to replace it. You'll know it's time to change paddles when you can compress the paddle face with your fingers and you hear a crunching sound. This generally means that the internal core has warped and crushed over time. Signs of delamination, where the layers of the paddle face are separating, also indicate that it's time for a new paddle. If something is rattling inside or the paddle is feeling noticeably muted, giving off different sounds on different parts of the paddle when it clearly wasn't like that in the beginning, then you know the integrity is compromised. In cases like these, it's good to check with the manufacturer on their warranty policy, or reach out to your authorized retailer that you purchased it from and see if you're eligible for a replacement. If you're just getting started in pickleball, then your best options are pretty simple. Find a paddle that fits your style of play in terms of shape and core thickness. Remember that thinner cores will have more power, while the thicker cores play a bit softer. Generally speaking, the higher level players can produce enough power from their swing speeds, and you'll catch a lot of them using the thicker core paddles, like 16 millimeters. If you do want some more power, then look for something that is 14 millimeters or thinner. As I've stated before with regards to shape, wide body paddles are very user-friendly and they're great for the fast pace of game like doubles, which I'd be willing to guess is what most people are playing. The elongated shapes do have a bit more to offer, but require a little more technical ability. There are plenty of great carbon fiber surface paddles under $160 Canadian or $120 US, and there's no need to upgrade from these anytime soon. I would start with one of these and play with it until it breaks down, and then by that time, you'll probably be ready to notice the subtle differences that high-end paddles can offer. So you can fork out a little bit more on your next one. But if you're not looking to spend any more than $100 on your first paddle, or you aren't sure whether you're committed to playing pickleball often, then you probably haven't made it this far in the video, or you've skipped right ahead to this section, or quite honestly, you didn't even click on this video at all, in which case, I don't even know why I'm talking. Just pick up the cheapest paddle you can find. We have some as low as $70 Canadian or $50 US. But if you want some good quality recommendations for your first paddle, then here are some great options right now in our store. We have the Wilson Fierce Pro, a 13 millimeter wide body carbon fiber surface paddle. The Headboom Team EX with a 13 millimeter elongated fiberglass surface. The Head Gravity Team EX, a 17 millimeter hybrid composite surface paddle. The Yola Andre Agassi or Steffi Graf Edge, which are 16 millimeter elongated carbon fiber surface paddles. And finally, the Black Knight Spinergy, a 14 millimeter thermoformed carbon fiber paddle. It's very difficult to find a thermoform paddle at this price range, so this one's a great deal. Now, if you're looking at the high-end paddles, there's a lot to choose from. Again, you'll want to pick one based on your preference in terms of shape and thickness relative to your play style. Many have similar specs and technologies, and some are a little more unique and proprietary. High-end paddles have come a long way in recent years. You'll hear terms like Gen 2, Gen 3, and I'll quickly break down what that means here. Gen 1 was the introduction of Toray T700 raw carbon fiber surfaces with a peel ply texturing. Basically a more premium material with better durability and surface integrity, but bonded with a basic cold press. Gen 2 is the introduction of unibody thermoform paddles, where the carbon fiber sheets run down through the handle and they wrap around the edges of the paddle face before being superheated to create a more uniform bonding process. With addition of foam injected edges, the result was a crisp feel and a paddle surface that offered some more forgiveness when hitting outside of the sweet spot and generally increased power potential. Gen 3 basically added a second layer of foam around the perimeter, creating a dual foam wall. Gen 4 takes this trend further and attempts to replace the traditional polymer honeycomb cores with foam. And while this technology is currently the newest, there's still a lot of room for development to learn about the pros versus cons. These are supposed to be the most durable since there's more shape memory in foam and won't crush like polymer honeycomb. And then we have Gearbox in their own pocket dimension with their patented solid span technology cores, which are folded ribs of carbon fiber as the core material. And these are extremely durable and very powerful as well. So with all the options out there, I personally would recommend one that's at least Gen 2 and that's thermoformed, as I certainly notice the difference between a thermoform paddle and a non-thermoform paddle. Here are some of the best options in our store right now, based on my opinion in no particular order. However, I will save my favorite for last. Yola Pro 4 series is an improvement on their Gen 3 paddle release that meets the USAPA standards, and they offer a variety of shapes and core thickness variations between 14 millimeters and 16 millimeters. The Gearbox Pro Series and GX2 are amazing options, offering great feel and incredible power in both 14 millimeter and 16 millimeter variants. Pickleball Apes deserves a special mention because as soon as we brought their Pulse series in, they've become a hit in being some of our best Gen 3 control paddles. 6-0 double black diamond and ruby paddles are top choices and some of our hottest sellers of premium paddles in both 14mm and 16mm variants. And this leads me to my top choice of Technifiber, as these take those 6-0 paddles to the next level, offering a unique 15mm variant with some extra technology in their handles for enhanced feel. So my personal favorite paddle at the moment is the TF Select. So to summarize, picking the right pickleball paddle is ultimately going to come down to your personal preferences. If you want more power, thinner cores and elongated paddle shapes are going to offer more. If you want more control or a softer feel, then thicker cores and wide body shapes will be better. If you're able to increase your price range a little and pick up a thermoform paddle, I promise you'll enjoy the feel of those more than the ones that are traditionally bonded with a simple adhesive and cold press. Remember that the weight and balance of your paddle can be increased and adjusted using lead tape strips. So if you're looking for arm-friendly paddles, you'll want a lighter weight paddle with more maneuverable shape, and ideally one with some vibration dampening technology incorporated into it. Remember that the weight and balance of your paddle can be increased and adjusted using lead tape strips. If you're looking for arm-friendly paddles, you'll want a lighter weight paddle with a more maneuverable shape, and ideally one with some vibration dampening technology incorporated into it. ProConnex has been a great brand in this department. There are certainly some others as well. I also recommend thinner power paddles to anyone who's feeling a little bit shy in their swing, as these will help them hit the ball with a little bit more depth in the court. But if you're coming from a racket sports background already, then you'll most likely want something with a bit more control. A pickleball court is much smaller than a tennis court. And even if you're a squash player like me, it'll be very tempting to unload your power a bit more, and you'll need something to take a bit off those shots. Luckily, there's a paddle for everyone. I hope I've been able to simplify things a bit for you and help you pick the right paddle for you. Thank you for watching. Please let us know in the comments if you have any questions. The options I've suggested are based on what we offer as of the making of this video. If you're watching this months or years from now, our options may have changed, so we'll do our best to update the new options down in the comment section. You can find everything you need to get started, as well as all the best pickleball gear here at pickleballguys.ca. Come check us out.